Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back with a brand new What If. What if Deku was Itachi Uchiha? And I'm super excited to be recording, and I was super excited to actually make this What If. It took me about a day longer than I thought it was going to take me. That's why we were missing a video. Normally I try my best to upload daily, but unfortunately it just, it came down to that. But really quick, if you enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe, and also don't forget to comment down below any future suggestions. I'm not gonna waste any more of your time, and we're gonna get right into this what if. Let's get it. The story starts with someone from a different world by the name of Itachi Uchiha, a man that would kill his whole clan to ensure the safety of his brother and his own village. He then dies in a battle against his own brother, but when his soul leaves his body, it is transferred across universes. To a boy is born with the soul of Itachi Uchiha, and that boy goes by the name of Azuku Midoriya. Azuku Midoriya is a young 4-year-old child that lives in a universe in which superpowers, other known as quirks, reside in most humans on Earth. But this kid ended up finding horrible news. Sorry kid, not going to happen. But I can still be a hero, right mom? I'm sorry, Izuku. The ride home was silent, and Midoriya cried all the way there, thinking that even his mother doesn't think he can be a hero now. He went straight to his room and began watching his favorite All Might video. He watches as his idol All Might saves hundreds of people. His mom walks in and begins to cry once again. Mom, do you still think I can be like him? Inko then says she's sorry to him while they hug each other. Midoriya then goes to school, and everyone, including Bakugo, started bullying him. But there was this one girl by the name of Izumi that would always be nice to him because of how similar they were. And Izumi was also quirkless. This led to Midoriya spending most of his childhood around her instead of around his childhood bullies. They would go on play dates, and they became really great friends. They would always talk about how even though they are quirkless, they would try their hardest, absolute hardest, to get into UA. They actually joined martial arts classes together, but obviously it takes a lot of time to get amazing at martial arts. But in terms of defending themselves, they could do so relatively well. The end of middle school then came, and they both walked to school together. And when they arrived in class, all the students made fun of them, saying that of course the two useless people would be hanging out with each other. Everyone began chanting Deku at Midoriya to make him feel sad, but after all these years with a real friend, it didn't really bother him. Okay children, okay, calm down. Today we'll be talking about what you all want to do in the future. The teacher pulls out papers that say career tests, but he throws them in the air, saying that he knows that they all want to go the hero route. Most of the class begins to use their quirks, but then are told to calm down. Yes, and some of our very own are applying to UA. Katsuki Bakugo will be applying. As the teacher says this, Bakugo stands on his desk, declaring that he will be the future #1 hero, and he will be the richest hero anyone has ever seen. The teacher then says that Izumi and Midoriya are also applying. The class goes silent, and everyone begins laughing. And Bakugo walks over to Midoriya's desk, and using an explosion, slams his hand on it. Dumb Deku, you're a quirkless loser. UA won't want anything to do with you. And same for you. You're just like Deku over here. Bakugo then sits down, and class is then dismissed. Izumi and Midoriya are about to leave, but Bakugo and his lackeys stop Midoriya. Oi, Deku! Don't even think about trying to go to UA, you damn nerd. I'm supposed to be the only one from this rundown school that will get into UA. Kachan, I know I can get in as well. I don't care if I'm quirkless. Actually, I know we both can. And he says this as he points at Izumi. Now, I have to go. Midoriya tries to pick up his notebook, but then Bakugo blows it up. Midoriya looks up with anger in his eyes, but Bakugo then flashes his explosions at his face. So Midoriya decides to back off. As Midoriya begins to walk out with Izumi, Bakugo begins to talk. You know, Deku, if you want a quirk so bad, maybe you should just jump off the roof and you can get one in your next life. Midoriya rolls his eyes and him and Izumi leave. Gosh, he's so mean. I can't believe you two were even best friends. Yeah, I don't know. He was nicer when we were young. They both are walking and head under a bridge, but Midoriya realizes that he actually dropped his keys. Hey, Izumi, I'll be right back. I think I dropped my keys somewhere. Midoriya runs back down the block and he finds his keys, and he texts Izumi that he's on his way, but gets no answer. That's weird. She usually answers pretty quick. He runs to the bridge to see the sludge villain holding onto her and seemingly suffocating her. Izumi! The villain runs and Izumi looks at Midoriya and begins to tear up. Midoriya then runs as fast as possible to her, throwing his backpack at the villain and kicking him in the eye, but then the villain catches Midoriya's leg. Damn it! Give Izumi back! Midoriya then sees her body go limp. Someone then busts through the sewer. No need to fear, because I am here. All Might then punches the villain, blowing it into pieces. Midoriya then opens his eyes to see Izumi on the ground. Izumi, please wake up. He feels her pulse and there is none. His eyes then turn red and a dot begins to swirl around within his eyes. Izumi, please. Izumi then wakes up abruptly, but with her eyes, they were seemingly gray, as if she was some sort of ghost. Okay, quickly breaking the fourth wall, like really fast. If y'all know the reference or where I'm going with this and what her quirk comes from, then you're actually a real OG, because this is from my 100 sub special. So if you know what this quirk is, then you know what's up. Okay, alright, I'm done now. Let's continue. Midoriya hugs Izumi. I thought I lost you. How do you feel? Azuku, your eyes, did your quirk awaken? What are you talking about? He then looks at his reflection in a nearby puddle, seeing his eyes red. But what about you, Izumi? You don't feel like you even have a pulse. She then says that her quirk, like awakening, must have revived her or something. I'm so happy you're okay, Izumi. I don't know what I would have done if you died. She grabs his face and tells him that she's okay. Sorry to kill the moment, children, but I wanted to make sure you are both okay. They look at All Might and say that they are, and he jumps off and commends them for being so brave. He then walks Izumi home, and she goes to the doctor's to get her quirk checked. Midoriya arrives at home, and his mom begins to say how worried she was. He then tells her that he was somehow able to unlock his quirk, and she asks if he wants to go see the quirk doctor, but he says that he somehow feels that his quirk may be different, and he might actually have an idea what it is. He tells her that he's just gonna go to sleep now because for some reason he feels super drained. He lays down and passes out. He then enters his mindscape to see someone standing in front of him. Hello, kid. This may be a shock to you, but you're sort of me. Well, at least my soul is within you. Not really sure how all that works. Midoriya looks at him in shock, obviously. Okay, you have to explain. The man explains that he is Itachi Uchiha, a ninja or a shinobi from a different universe, and the change in his eyes earlier today is called the Sharingan. and that he will train him for the next 6 months within his mindscape, but to not worry that it will only be about 12 hours in real time. But once this happens, he will not be able to help Midoriya anymore. He will be just a passenger watching what he will do with his powers. For the next 6 months within the mindscape, Midoriya is taught various jutsus and also now has the 3 Tomoe Sharingan. Well, kid, I've taught you everything I know, but there's one more thing that I want to say. Itachi explains how the Sharingan may evolve further for him, but it will take something far beyond just normal pain. He had to see his best friend die in front of him and kill his entire clan to gain this power. But maybe he could acquire it in another way. Itachi then grabs Midoriya's head and shows him his entire past. Midoriya then looks at Itachi. It felt like I lived through it. What I just saw? So much happened to you. Midoriya's eyes then begin to flicker, but don't change. Well, Midoriya, looks like that didn't exactly work, but maybe in this world you can unlock the power in another way. Midoriya thanks him, and Itachi begins to fade away. What is happening? Sorry, kid, but it's my time to go, but trust me, I'll be watching. Good luck, and protect the ones you truly love. Midoriya then wakes up, and his hair is now black, but his eyes remain his normal green color. He walks out of his room, and Inko is in shock, thinking that he dyed his hair, but he then explains what happened. She begins to cry and say that she is so happy for him and knows that he will be an amazing hero. Midoriya then meets up with Izumi, and she says that her quirk is called Ghost, and basically she has no pulse in terms of people being able to feel it, but this tricks her body into thinking that fatigue doesn't exist. Also, she is able to do things that a ghost can do, like fly and possess people, but she doesn't really know how to quite do that all, or at least quite do all that yet. Well, Izumi, I have a lot to explain. Midoriya then tells her all of the things that basically has happened to him. Oh, that's why you have black hair now. Yeah, I know, it's kind of weird. No, not even. I like the black hair. You look good. Midoriya blushes and tells her that they should train for the next 10 months before the entrance exam so that they can both get used to their quirks or powers. She agrees, and they both decide to meet at Dagobah Beach because there's tons of trash they can clean for extra training, and they can basically do some quirk training there. It takes them about 2 months to clean the beach, and for the next 7 months they train using their quirks, which allows for Izumi to be a lot more comfortable with her quirk, and also helped Midoriya in practicing his chakra control and his many other abilities. For the last month before the exam, they both study for the written portion. He then stares her directly in the eyes, and she gets nervous and begins falling through the ground. Izumi, you're doing it again. She comes back up and... Sorry, I was just wondering if maybe you would want to go on a date with me? Oh, are you asking me to be your boyfriend or something? Izuku smiles, but is kinda blushing, and she shakes her head yes. Well, I accept then. She hugs him, and they basically go on their first date about 2 days before the UA entrance exam. They go get food and hang out together at the beach they've been training at and stuff like that. That was really nice. Thanks, Izumi. Anything for you, Izu. You are the only person outside of my family to, care about me. Midoriya then hugs her and tells her that without her, he would have had nobody throughout school. If it wasn't for her, basically he would still be hanging out with the bullies and probably would have lost his mind. She begins to cry and basically tells him that she is so happy basically to have him. 2 days then pass, and they both head to the UA entrance exam. So, how do you feel, Izumi? I feel okay, just nervous. I know, but I'm sure we will do great. They enter the exam site and Midoriya goes to sit down in his assigned seat.
Deku, what the hell are you doing here?
Oh, Kachan, I'm taking the exam. Bakugo then scoffs and tells him that a quirkless loser like him won't be able to make it anyway. They then listen to President Mike explain the written exam, and they take the exam, in which Midoriya finds pretty easy. Then the practical exam is announced that there will be various robots that must be destroyed for points from 1 to 3 points. A blue-haired kid then complains, saying that President Mike missed a robot, so he then explains that there is a 0-pointer, but it is just best to avoid it. Everyone heads out, but Midoriya isn't in the same battlefield area as Bakugo or Izumi. The gates swing open and Midoriya goes running out of the gate at full speed. Everyone says that he is cheating, but President Mike exclaims that there are no countdowns in a real battle. Everyone follows after, but Midoriya has a crazy lead. He uses something called Shadow Clone Jutsu that allows for him to make various copies of him to destroy robots at an insane rate. Also using hand signs followed by fireballs to destroy many other robots. After a bit, he's basically at about 130 robot points. Well, I think that is enough. I mean, I need to let other people get points too. He then turns to feel rumbling throughout the city and sees various people running from this giant robot. In the teacher's booth. Who is that kid, Aizawa?
His name is Azuku Midoriya, and his quirk is... Wait, it says he's quirkless.
What? How does that even make any sense? They then see Midoriya protect a young girl who was stuck under rubble, using many copies of himself and shooting fireballs at the robot. This kid is quirkless? So how does he do that? Midoriya then walks over to the girl and helps her up. Hey, are you okay? Yeah, I think I'm okay, but I can't really walk. He helps her to recovery girl and then proceeds to leave and sees Izumi. Hey, Izumi! He begins to walk over, but he is stopped by a teacher and a little mouse thing on his shoulder.
Hello, Midoriya. I would like to ask you what your quirk is.
Well, it's kinda not a quirk. They both look at him confused, and he explains to them what has occurred, and that when he was young, he didn't even have a quirk. Or at least, like, a young boy.
So this is kinda your quirk?
Yeah, I guess you could call it that.
Well, have you thought of a name for it?
Midoriya just tells them to call it Uchiha, if they really want to. But that it's really not a quirk, it's a combination of various things from a different universe, believe it or not. He then leaves and talks to Izumi about how she did, and she says that she thinks she did great, and that the possession trick really worked on the robots. I'm glad to hear that, Izumi. Midoriya then drops her off at her house, and he heads home. He waits for a couple weeks in which they both train and then finally get their invitations to UA.
Hello, young Midoriya. I would want to congratulate you on making it to Class 1A. You actually scored the highest in the exam. You had 130 robot points, but for saving that girl, you get 50 rescue points. Congratulations, and welcome to UA.
Azuku immediately calls Izumi. I got first in the exam. Oh, I'm so happy for you. But I didn't get in. What? No way. And I'm just kidding. What class did you get in? I got into Class 1A. What about you? She then tells him that she got into the same class and that she's super excited. The first day then comes and they head into a giant door with 1A on it. They walk in to see Bakugo and Ida yelling at each other.
What? Deku, how did you get here? I know you cheated.
Bakugo tries to attack him, but Midoriya's eyes go red and he activates his Sharingan, and Bakugo stops in his tracks and just sits down. He gasps, but in seemingly fear of something, and Midoriya and Izumi just go and sit down. Bakugo turns around at Midoriya, thinking that whatever he did was a power he must have been hiding for years.
Okay, class, shut up. My name is Shota Aizawa, your teacher for the next 3 years. Put on these PE clothes and meet me outside.
So, Izuku, I was wondering, everyone leaves the classroom to change, and while in the changing room, a boy with purple balls on his head begins peeping through a hole in the wall. He begins to say that he wants basically a peep at the girl with the gray eyes. Midoriya then shoots a small fireball at his feet. That's my girlfriend, don't even think about it. Mineta walks over to the wall again, but Midoriya grabs him and throws him into the locker behind him. I told you not to do that. Midoriya walks out, and Kirishima can be heard saying how manly that was of him to protect his girlfriend like that. Midoriya then arrives before anyone else, and Aizawa begins talking with him.
So Midoriya, your eyes, what do they do exactly?
Midoriya tells him that they can do a lot of things, but they are great for hand-to-hand combat. They slow down the pace of the battle basically. But he also can put people in a trance-like state using something called genjutsu.
Wait, does that mean you can make me sleep using it?
Yeah, I guess so, but why would you want me to do that?
No reason, but I would keep that in mind.
The rest of the class arrives, and Aizawa throws Midoriya a ball and tells him to stand in the circle and throw it. Midoriya then summons 3 versions of himself and throws the ball as hard as possible. As he does this, the 3 of them use some sort of wind release or some weird technique, and they blow the ball even farther.
2,000 meters. Not bad, kid. Very creative use of your powers.
Thank you, Sensei. Bakugo then out of nowhere comes charging at Midoriya.
You tell me right now how you did that, Deku, or I will...
Bakugo abruptly stops before getting to Midoriya, and crows can be seen emitting from his body, flying toward Bakugo. Bakugo goes flying back to the line, and he stares in shock at what happened.
Okay, Midoriya, go back in line now.
Izumi then heads up and throws the ball and continues to push it using her ghost form, getting a pretty high score herself, in the thousands. Everyone begins to say how fun this will be, and hearing this, Aizawa tells them the sensei will be so fun, whoever gets last will be expelled. Many tests are ran in the quirk assessment, and Midoriya, Bakugo, Izumi, and Shoto get the top scores, but Mineta got last.
Okay, Mineta, go to the office. Your stuff will be sent there.
Mineta goes running off. Everyone begins asking if that was a good idea or not, but before Aizawa could even say a word, Midoriya speaks. He doesn't act very heroic anyways. He is a pervert, and a hero like that, with that attitude, will never truly be a good hero. Aizawa looks at him and says that he is definitely his favorite student, and that Aizawa could tell that the kid's attitude was just not built for this school. But he will have free range to go to another. The class is then sent home, and Izumi and Midoriya talk about what they thought so far. So, looks like someone is the teacher's favorite already. Yeah, I guess, but I think it's more because we kind of think the same. Yeah, I can see that. Also, he asked me if I can put him to sleep using my Sharingan. That was kind of odd. Izumi starts laughing and says that he did enter class with a sleeping bag. The next day, they head into class, and Aizawa begins to announce what they will be doing.
Okay, problem children. Today another teacher will be training you. And he should be here right now.
All Might then busts into the room.
I am here, walking in like a normal person.
Everyone screams, All Might! All Might then pulls out a remote and clicks a button and tells them to get on their hero outfits. Midoriya's hero outfit is basically Itachi's Anbu outfit. They take their hero outfits and go get changed and meet at Ground Gamma. Midoriya arrives and Izumi sees him. Oh, look at you. He slightly blushes. Thanks, you look good too. Izumi's outfit is like a black outfit that mimics kind of like Ghost Rider, except for there's like no skull on her face. But it's basically like a black, tighter jumpsuit, more or less. All Might then begins to explain that they will be doing a hero versus villain training. That the villains will be protecting a bomb, and the heroes must seize the bomb or capture both the villains. All Might announces the teams, and he says that the villains will be Bakugo and Ida, and the heroes will be Midoriya and Uraraka. The heroes are then given 5 minutes to plan. Oh, Uraraka, you're the one I saved during the exam, huh? Yeah, you remember me? I didn't think you would. Yeah, I do, sort of. So knowing that Bakugo will try and attack me, you should probably try and slip away and find the bomb. And I will help you once I get there. She agrees, and the 5 minutes are up. They enter the building, and Midoriya tells her to go the other way. From a distance, Bakugo can be heard flying down the stairs using his explosions.
Now, damn Deku, I know how to beat you.
He comes flying in, but he's looking at Midoriya's feet. Wow, Kachan, smart. But you also forgot. Midoriya then slips under the right hook and knees him so hard that he spits. That my eyes are not the only part of my arsenal. He puts the capture tape on an unconscious Bakugo and heads upstairs. Uraraka then tells him that she has found the bomb. He meets up with her to see Ida guarding the bomb.
Oh, you two beat Bakugo? Impressive, but you will not get by me, heroes.
As he says this, the speaker turns on.
Hero team wins.
He turns to see Midoriya and Uraraka touching the bomb, and that the people he was looking at were just an illusion. Yay, we won! Uraraka hugs Midoriya, but he quickly pushes her off. Please don't do that. Izumi will kill me. They walk back, and when they arrive, Izumi pops up in front of him. Izu. I didn't do it. She hugged me. Uraraka walks over and tries to apologize and say that she was just excited they won. Izumi slightly hits Midoriya on the head. Fine. This time I forgive you. Uraraka turns to him and mouths that she's scary. And says, yeah, but only when other girls are around him at least. All Might then announces that Uraraka and Midoriya are both MVPs in this match, and the rest of the matches go as normal. And Izumi easily wins her match using her ghost abilities to capture the bomb. Class is then dismissed, and everyone then heads home. Izumi and Midoriya text each other, and Midoriya tells her to not worry about these other girls. Plus, it's good for her to make friends with other girls, and if she does scary stuff like that, they will be reluctant. She tries to say that she isn't that scary, but Midoriya tells her that she scared the hell out of Uraraka. She reluctantly agrees, but says that they better not hug him anymore. The next day, they head to school, and Aizawa begins to announce the plans.
Okay, today, problem children, we'll be going to the USJ for rescue training. So everyone please head to the buses and make sure to somewhat listen to Ida's instructions. They head out and enter the bus, and everyone begins talking about who the strongest in the class is, and they begin saying either Midoriya, Izumi, Bakugo, or Shoto are definitely the strongest. Midoriya then begins to talk. I mean, in raw power, it's Todoroki for sure. In one-on-one battles, it's definitely Izumi. In terms of control of their quirk, it
probably as Bakugo, but overall I feel like I am more balanced out than everyone here. They all look at him in shock, thinking that he has really thought about this that much. He then asks what they're staring at, and they basically say nothing, but just surprised that someone would go that into depth so quickly. Yeah, well, determining on a quote-unquote strongest isn't easy. There are tons of variables. Izumi then hugs him. I love when he goes all hero nerd. Everyone awes and Midoriya begins to blush. Okay, problem children, we are here. Get off the bus. Everyone enters the USJ and Midoriya begins to feel something is off. 13 then greets the students and Midoriya activates his Sharingan and looks toward the fountain in the middle of the area. Midoriya, what are you looking at? Something odd is happening right now. It feels like something bad is going to happen. A portal opens and villains begin to pour out of it. 13, protect the students. Aizawa then jumps into action and begins to fight off villains. From a bit away, he then hears, "Fire style, fireball jutsu!" Most of the villains are blasted away by Midoriya. But Midoriya made sure that they were not killed, only knocked out. Midoriya, I can handle this. I know, Sensei, but it'll be faster with some help. Midoriya creates a couple shadow clones and helps defeat all the small fry villains.
Oh well. Nomu, go have some fun.
A large monster called a Nomu goes charging at Aizawa and punches him into the wall. Aizawa! Midoriya runs and stands in front of him. Midoriya pulls out a kunai and begins fighting the monster, keeping up using his Sharingan, but can't actually make a dent. He then begins to get a headache, but tries to keep fighting. What is happening to me? Aizawa then speaks, but is seemingly hurt really bad. Midoriya, save yourself. Midoriya looks back, but then his eyes begin to bleed, and the inner part of his eyes begin to change. A reddish aura begins to form around him, and when the Nomu punches it, it seemingly begins protecting him. You stay away from my sensei. A shield forms, and something that Itachi called the Susanoo appears around Midoriya, and he hits the Nomu with his shield and begins to pull out a sword seemingly from the ground. The Nomu charges back in, but with a one slash, the Nomu bursts into flames and is completely obliterated. So this is the power Itachi was talking about. It's insane. Midoriya passes out just as he hears,
No need to fear, because I am here.
He wakes up in a hospital bed, and his eyes hurt kinda bad from the overuse of his Sharingan. But when he opens his eyes, he sees Izumi sitting in the chair next to him sleeping. Izumi, wake up. She wakes up and hugs him. Izu, you scared the hell out of me. Don't ever do that again. I'm sorry, Izumi, but... Aizawa, is he okay? She explains that he's in the hospital as well, but his injuries aren't too bad because of how well Midoriya protected him. Midoriya lays back down and smiles. I'm glad he's okay. She slaps his head and tells him sometimes he needs to worry about himself. He tells her that he is sorry and they are actually given the next 2 days off. When they go back to school, everyone begins to talk about who they think will basically be their teacher since Aizawa was in the hospital. But when the teacher enters, everyone is in shock. Hello, problem children. Don't look so surprised. Thanks to Midoriya's reckless actions, my injuries weren't too bad. Now listen up. Aizawa explains that the UA Sports Festival is coming up, and this is a way for pros to reach out and offer students internships. So for the next 2 days, the class will be training and preparing for the festival. Everyone is dismissed, and Midoriya and Izumi train together, and Midoriya works on something Itachi has taught him. He is now able to use his Susanoo a lot better, but he tried to learn how to use something called the Amaterasu, but it seems to be out of reach for now. The day then came for the UA Sports Festival, and their class heads out. Midnight then announces, Now there are your first year classes, and the representative, Azuku Midoriya. He walks up and begins to talk. Thank you all for coming, and I hope that we can put on a show for all of you, and we promise to give it our all. Everyone cheers, and tons of girls begin to talk about how good Midoriya looks. He walks away. He basically walks back smiling, and Izumi hits him on the head. Hey, what was that for? Nothing, just annoyed that these girls are looking at you. How is that my fault? She just hugs him and looks toward the crowd with a death stare. Midnight then announces that the first event will be an obstacle race. Everyone lines up, and when everyone runs through the corridor, ice begins to freeze it. Most of the class 1A jumps out of it, but a lot of people actually get stuck within the ice. Midoriya then chases down Shoto pretty easily because of how fast his natural speed is. Well, that was not cool, Todoroki. As he says this, Shoto tries to freeze him, but Midoriya then ends up on the other side of him. Hey, that isn't cool either. Midoriya kicks him to the side and runs as fast as possible, blowing by the robots and making it to the ravine. With use of his chakra, he easily runs over all the ropes without even being close to falling. Midoriya slightly turns, seeing Bakugo somewhat close on his trail.
Damn, Deku, get over here.
Midoriya just keeps running and then comes across a minefield. He activates his Sharingan and easily avoids all the mines and gets first place. Midoriya looks back to see Izumi barely pass Bakugo, and she runs through and runs to him. I forget how fast you are. Midoriya laughs and says, yeah. Bakugo and Todoroki come in next. Also, Izu, how are you not tired? I trained a lot. Plus, my powers work differently than others, but why are you asking me this? You don't even get tired either. She laughs and they both continue talking until everyone arrives. Midnight then announces that the next event will be the cavalry battle, and first place will have 10 million points. Everyone looks at Midoriya like he did something horrible, and they try to avoid him. Don't worry, Izu, we are always a team. Thanks, Izumi. Tokiyami also joins them as well. Oh, Tokiyami, right? Yes, that is me. Nice to meet you, Midoriya. Yeah, your quirk is awesome. Thanks, but it's nothing like yours. No, don't say that. It's awesome. The cavalry battle starts and everyone tries to charge on Midoriya's team. Okay, well, Midoriya then waves at everyone, and a giant Susanoo emerges from him and completely shelters them. Whoa, Izu, I didn't know you could do this. Well, it really depends on how long I can hold it. I mean, I've been working on it, but this is kind of like training in a way. Tokiyami tells him how insane this is, that his power can protect them completely. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but we will see if I can hold it the whole time. Midoriya then sits down and begins meditating, trying to hold the Susanoo for the whole time, and he actually was able to hold it until there was about 5 seconds left of the cavalry battle. And they obviously end up, well, winning.
Deku, why did you just hide the whole time?
I wasn't hiding, Kachan. I mean, it's not my fault you're not strong enough to get through my defenses. Bakugo leaves annoyed, and everyone that made it to the final in canon does so as well in this. It is then announced that it will be 1 versus 1 battles for the final event. Just so you know, Izu, I won't be going easy on you. I know, Izumi. I don't expect you to. The first fight is then announced, and that the first fight is Midoriya versus Shinso. They head to the ring, and their fight begins. How does it feel to be so blessed? Midoriya then just automatically responds, I'm very blessed. Shinso begins to think, why isn't his quirk working? And it feels like something is blocking it. Shinso begins running at Midoriya, but then out of nowhere the match is over. Azuku Midoriya is the winner. Shinso looks to see that he ran out of the ring. Sorry, Shinso, but if you just train, I know you can be a great hero. Your quirk was really hard to actually work around. Would have had some trouble if I actually didn't figure it out beforehand. How did you? Midoriya explains that it was pretty obvious during the first two events of how it sorta worked. Midoriya leaves and goes to sit down. You know, Izu, watching you fight is so odd. To me, he just walked straight out. But if I didn't know how your powers worked, I would be super confused. The crowd hears this and they all say they are confused. They both start laughing and Izumi fights Tokiyami and she wins pretty easily because once she got closed, the fight was over. Midoriya cheers her on and then the next fight is announced. The next fight is Midoriya versus Todoroki. Midoriya heads out and someone stops him. Midoriya, is it? Yes. Endeavor, right?
Yes, please do me a favor. Get my son to use his fire side.
Okay, but I have a request as well.
What do you want, kid?
I want to intern with you.
Fine. If he uses his fire side, you got a deal.
Midoriya then walks off to the stage. Midoriya then thinks that, he wanted to get Shoto to use his fire side anyways, so, now he just gets a bonus. The fight then starts. Ice begins to come crashing at Midoriya, but he easily dodges. And eventually Shoto becomes super slow. Todoroki, use your fire side.
What? Never. I would never use my old man's quirk.
But it's your quirk, not his. I don't quite understand the grudge, and I'm sure it's valid, Todoroki, but you're hurting more than helping yourself. Be the hero you want to be. Shoto then has a flashback to his mother saying, in those words, to be that hero he wants to be. Fire erupts from his body, and they both smile.
Why are you smiling, Midoriya? You just sealed your fate.
No, but this will be more fun. They both blast fire at each other. As this happens, Midoriya makes two clones, and those two release use water release, water dragon jutsu, and the water dragons hit the fire, and mist covers the entire stadium.
Why would he do that? Now we both can't see.
Midoriya appears right next to Shoto in an instant. Wrong, Todoroki. Shoto punches where he heard Midoriya, but it was just missed. Midoriya then chops his neck, and he catches him before he can hit the ground. Azuku Midoriya wins. Midoriya smiles, thinking that Todoroki is insanely powerful. He brings him to the back, and he eventually wakes up. What's up, Todoroki?
Damn, you won, huh?
Yeah, but it was a good fight. They shake hands and head back to watch the fights. They come back to see Izumi versus Bakugo about to begin. Their fight begins and Bakugo begins moving around in a very unorthodox way. Wow, Gachon. Figured out her quirk. But can he really keep that up for that long? Izumi flies at Bakugo and seemingly he blasts her in the face. But she went ghost mode, barely, dodging and hits him hard. Bakugo flips but lands a kick while getting hit. Izumi then smirks.
What's so funny, you extra?
Midoriya then smiles and says that the fight is over, and Izumi's body goes limp and Bakugo walks out of bounds. Izumi is the winner, and the final will be Izumi versus Midoriya. Everyone cheers, and they are given 10 minutes to prepare. Todoroki then approaches him. You really think you can fight against your own girlfriend? Yeah, well, we trained together, and she wouldn't want me to hold back. Honestly, I'm surprised you're talking to me. I thought you hated me. Todoroki then says, whatever, and that I think you're alright, and walks away saying good luck. They are called to come out, and they do so. Izu, go all out no matter what. He nods and smiles. Begin. They charge at each other, and Midoriya uses his Sharingan to predict where Izumi's ghost form will go. He then glances his eyes across hers, and Midoriya then says to himself, it's over. Crows begin expanding around his body, and flocking toward Izumi, and she enters her ghost form, flying forward. But when she does so, everything is pitch black. What? Where am I? I've never seen this from him before. A noise comes from behind her, but she looks and nothing is there. She then looks forward, and a giant gust of wind hits her, and she slams into the wall. Izumi is out of bounds. Midoriya is the winner. He walks over to Izumi and smiles. Wow, Izu, you're really strong, huh? I guess so, but you did good. But gotta keep your eyes down. She rolls her eyes and tells him she knows. The award ceremony occurs with All Might giving out medals to Bakugo, Izumi, and Midoriya, saying how impressive they were. Bakugo was actually kind of calm though, because he was, fairly beaten and didn't feel cheated at all. The day ends and they arrive at UA the next day. Okay, problem children. This is the amount of offers for internships everyone has gotten. And I will pass out the sheet of paper of what heroes are interested in you. The board shows that Shoto and Azuku have gotten pretty similar offers, with Izumi and Bakugo not far behind. Midoriya looks through the offers for the one he wants. Wow, he didn't go back on his word. Todoroki walks by to see that Endeavor is on Midoriya's list. How did you convince my father to do that? Midoriya explains that he wanted you to use his fire side, and frankly, he was going to do that anyways, so he thought that he might as well get something out of that. That's pretty smart, Midoriya. I'll hand it to you, but I'm surprised my father actually followed through. Me too. I was like 80% sure he wouldn't follow through. Aizawa then announces that they will be picking hero names today, but Midnight will be helping because, it's not really his thing. Everyone chooses their names, and then it's Izumi's turn, and she picks the name the Ghost Hero Spectral Spartan. Midoriya then goes up and chooses the name Itachi Uchiha. Midnight says that she doesn't understand it, but if it means a lot to him, that she is fine with it. He says that it does, and he just heads back to his seat. Aizawa then tells the class that they have to the end of the day to choose their internships. The class leaves, and Midoriya and Izumi talk about where they are going. Midoriya tells her that he's going to Endeavor's internship, and she says that she will be going to someone who can basically help her with her hand-to-hand combat, so she'll be going to pro hero Mirko. Midoriya tells her that he is super excited to see how much she improves. The next day, a car picks up both Shoto and Azuku, and they head to Endeavor's agency. When they arrive, Endeavor makes it clear that he only cares about Shoto, but Midoriya says that he's just here to observe, and if he really doesn't want to train him, he doesn't mind. Midoriya just pulls out a notebook and smiles. Endeavor tells them both to hop in the car, and they'll be going to Hosu. The three of them leave in the car, and it takes them a while, but when they arrive at Hosu, the area is covered in fire. They exit the car, and they see Nomus scouring the area.
Shoto, stay near.
They head into the city, and Endeavor begins helping the other heroes and begins to defeat the Nomus. Shoto, something feels off. What are you talking about? Midoriya begins to run and Shoto follows him and they stop in an alleyway.
Damn fake hero. Now die, kid.
Midoriya then blasts the hero killer away with fire. Ida, what are you doing? Midoriya? Todoroki? Leave this. This isn't your fight. Midoriya and Shoto ignore him and stand in front of him.
Oh, some more fake heroes. Want to protect this kid?
Todoroki, stay close. Midoriya begins to fight Stain, and they are pretty evenly matched.
Kid, you're good. But what about we up the stakes?
Stain then throws a knife at Ida, the unconscious hero, and also Shoto. A reddish aura begins to form around him, and he catches the blades. Stain, you crossed the line now. Midoriya smashes Stain into the wall and stares into his eyes, and he begins to scream in pain from an unknown source of hurting, and he passes out. Endeavor comes with the police and takes away Stain, but they made sure that Endeavor got the credit so that they wouldn't get in trouble. They all agree because the fame of defeating the hero killer doesn't exactly matter to them. The internships are then cut off early and because of the Hosu incident, and classes resume 2 days later. Midoriya tells Izumi about what happened and she begins crying, saying that he could have gotten hurt, but he tells her that he wouldn't get hurt he wouldn't be killed that easily. When they arrive at school a couple days later, Aizawa announces that they will be taking a final exam, both a written and a practical, and it basically will determine if they go to the forest training lodge or not. The class is then given time to study, in which both Izumi and Izuku study together, and they also train together to work on some new moves. After the written final is finished, the class is sent out to the gym, and the teachers are waiting.
This year, problem children, you won't be fighting robots. That is just not practical. You all will be fighting the teachers.
The teams are announced, but 2 people are left out, both Midoriya and Bakugo. By the way, we're gonna just have Izumi take the place of Mineta, so she will face Midnight. It's just the easiest way of going about it, I'll be honest. So that's yeah. If you're thinking about that, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Okay, problem children. Midoriya, Bakugo, you will be facing the symbol of peace, All Might. All Might then lands on the ground.
I am here.
The matches then begin, and Bakugo and Midoriya sit in the waiting area. Kachan,
Shut up, Deku. I don't want your plan. I will beat him on my own.
Midoriya keeps trying to talk to him, but every time he gets cut off. Katsuki! Bakugo stops in shock at the use of his first name. Midoriya activates a Sharingan and looks at him. Honestly, I don't get it. You made fun of me, bullied me for years, told me to kill myself, but I'm still here trying to make peace. So can you just play nice so we can pass? Then you can continue the whole I hate Deku thing you got going on. Bakugo scoffs and sits back.
I'm listening, nerd.
Midoriya explains that he's been working on something, but it's more of a trump card. But if you want to defeat All Might, then this is probably what we're going to need to do. The match finishes and Bakugo and Midoriya enter the city. They move toward All Might's location to get hit with some insane wind pressure. First, Kachan, we need to gain ground toward him, because we only have one shot at this. They then do this, and All Might is waiting. Then I will use my clones to keep him busy, and one of my clones will try to heat you up with fire to make you sweat more into your bracer.
Nerd, how will that help?
I'm getting to that. The clones then begin to fight All Might, and the bracer of Bakugo's grows with sweat. Then, finally, the one shot we have. The real Midoriya falls back toward Bakugo. I hope you're ready, because, well, we're out of time.
Do it, nerd.
The Susanoo surrounds them, and All Might punches, but the shield barely blocks the punch. Now, Kacchan! Midoriya pulls back his sword and swings it toward All Might, and combining it with the biggest explosion Bakugo could make, the sword on impact destroyed almost all the buildings around. And the one-shot Kacchan should knock out All Might, because your explosion will be amplified far beyond anything normal. The dust clears and All Might is on the ground kneeling.
Okay, young students. I yield.
Midoriya and Bakugo pass. All Might coughs up blood and a pro hero takes him away. They both walk to the waiting area and Izumi gives Midoriya a big hug. That was amazing, Izu. Well, I wouldn't have won without Kacchan. Bakugo walks by and raises his hand slightly as if he was acknowledging what he just said. Izu, did I just see that? Did he just acknowledge what you said? Izumi, I'm as shocked as you right now. The class is then told that everyone will be going to the lodge no matter if they actually passed or not, and they all get packed and they leave in a couple days. They all head to the lodge on the bus and they are abruptly stopped at a nearby cliff. The students exit the bus and they are greeted by the Wild Wild Pussycats.
Problem children, the Wild Wild Pussycats will be helping you all train, so make sure to take advantage of this opportunity.
The class begins asking why they can see the lodge in the distance.
Yeah, problem children, because the training camp starts now.
The mountain begins to crumble and push over the whole class off the edge. The heroes begin to turn around and head toward the bus, but they see two people sitting on the top. You know, Sensei, that wasn't very nice.
Izumi, Midoriya, go join your class, please.
They say fine and they jump down the mountain. They all then fight through various monsters and it takes them about 3 to 4 hours to make it to the camp. And when they arrive, Aizawa tells everyone to go get food and get some rest because starting tomorrow they will be training. Midoriya then sees a little kid and walks over to him. Hey little one, what's your name? The kid then tries to punch Midoriya in the family jewels, but he easily dodges. Don't talk to me. I hate you, heroes. The kid walks away and Mandalay explains that his name is Koda and he doesn't really like heroes because of what happened to his parents. Midoriya says that he's really sorry, but that it's why he wants to be a hero, so nobody can be hurt anymore. And then he has a flashback of when Itachi killed his entire clan and remembers Itachi telling him during training that this time he wants to make sure everyone is safe, including the people he loves. Midoriya then goes to eat, clean up, and heads to bed. They wake up the next day, and Aizawa explains that they will be he'll be setting up everyone's training. He explains to everyone that what he wants them to do, and then he begins talking to Midoriya.
Okay, problem child, I want you to work on your little eye trick thing. Try to find out if you can also do more with that big armor suit thing you do.
Okay, sounds good, Sensei. Midoriya then heads off with the rest of his class and begins basically to train. For the next week, his whole class trains on their quirks, and he actually does some sparring sessions with Izumi to see how far she has come along with Mirko's training. Midoriya is still not able to use something called the Amaterasu that Itachi talked about during training, but he can use another ability now that he never knew actually existed. The training camp is then over and all the students head back on the bus. They begin driving through the city and realize in the distance there's fire and it's overlaying the landscape.
Children, stay calm. There's 10 minutes until we get to UA.
As Aizawa says this, Anomu smashes into the bus. Oh, is everyone okay? They all say yes, but the Nomu begins smashing into the bus until Endeavor blasts it away. Everyone gets out of the bus and enters a small building with a TV playing. They look to see All Might and All for One in their final battle. Midoriya stares at it intensely. Come on, All Might. You can do it. He watches and can tell All Might is losing ground. Midoriya, you can't do anything. None of us can. Sensei, the only problem is we can. Midoriya then explains that Izumi could reach that area using her astral form, and that he has been working on something that he can get there right now. Midoriya, you know that isn't safe. They turn back to the screen to see All for One with his foot on All Might's head. Aizawa looks at him. It's not like I can stop you anyways, problem child. Izumi's body goes limp, and a warp-type portal opens in front of Midoriya. Kamui! All for One then sees a portal open. What is this? Reinforcements? He begins to laugh, saying that nobody but All Might even has a chance. Midoriya walks out and activates his Susanoo, grabbing All Might. I hope you can hear me, Izumi. But now! All for One then freezes for enough time for Midoriya to swing down his sword, and combined with All Might's last remaining power, they strike All for One and he's out for the count.
Young Midoriya, that was extremely reckless, but thank you.
He Kamui's them both back out of the area, back to where the students are, and he sees Izumi passed out. You did good, kid. You did good. Midoriya passes out as well. He wakes up to see All Might and Aizawa waiting for him to wake up. They tell him that they are, proud of him. And also they tell him that UA is moving students into dorms, but they already brought all his stuff into his room and not to worry. He sits up really fast, asking if Izumi is okay, and they tell him that she's just in her dorm room right now resting. Oh, thank God.
Also, young Midoriya, you have a lot of, me in your room.
He kind of awkwardly laughs, saying that, he's kind of a fanboy. They then help him to his room, and 3 days pass, and UA starts classes back up once again. I'm glad you're okay, Izu. Because what I did was at least somewhat safe compared to you. Sorry about that, but I couldn't live with myself knowing I basically could have helped him. I made a promise to someone I would help no matter what. They walk into class, and Aizawa explains that they will be working on their super moves every day, and in a couple days everyone will be going to the provisional hero license exam. Midoriya in the class then heads to the gym, and he begins working on trying to use his Amaterasu, but also working on his Kamui on different parts of his body, allowing him to increase his effectiveness in hand-to-hand combat. After some days pass, Aizawa takes the class to the provisional hero license exam site, in which other students try to be nice to them, but Bakugo forces them away, saying that these people are not actually being friendly. Everyone is about to argue until Midoriya says that for the first time he actually agrees with Bakugo, because they are first years and most of these people are second and third, and they will see us as the easiest or best choice of target. They head into the exam, and it's basically the proctor begins to explain it, that there will be targets on their body and they must tag other people's targets to pass. All the classes head out to the field, and some of 1A splits up, but Midoriya stays with the large group. Just so you know, we are going to be the first ones who are attacked, but stay nearby me and we should be able to pass relatively quickly. Everyone asks how is he so confident, and he explains that they may know their quirks, but he didn't really show how strong his Susanoo actually is in the UA Sports Festival. And even if they watched the All for One fight, they wouldn't understand how to defeat it. They all agree, and they stay close together. Tons of students then jump toward them, and Midoriya activates his Susanoo. And with a combination of everyone's quirks, they are easily able to knock out all the students that came after them, allowing for them to pass with relative ease. Now in the stands, Miss Joke and Aizawa talk, and she tells him that the Midoriya kid is already stronger than most pros and could easily win on his own, but he still decides to help all his classmates. Aizawa looks at her and says that the kid wants to save everyone, that even in the attack of the USJ, he jumped in front of him and refused to let him get hurt anymore. She looks at him in shock as most of Class 1A walks into the waiting area. The rest of Class 1A pass, and the next event is announced as the rescue event. Midoriya goes around transporting people back and forth to the base camp Momo set up until he was dropping off a civilian to see Gang Orca, and then he sees Gang Orca and tons of villains follow in behind him. A siren begins to sound, saying that villains have entered the battlefield. Gang Orca sends all his small fry villains in, and a student of another school begins to send waves of earth towards the villains, but Gang Orca sees this and knocks the student out cold. Todoroki and Inasa step up to fight Gang Orca. Shoto shoots fire at him, but Inasa sends wind, and they cancel each other out. They were about to argue, but Midoriya jumps into the battle. "Work together, you two. Stop canceling each other out." Midoriya says this, and he will basically just give them an opening. He charges at Gang Orca, and he tries to punch Midoriya, but his hand goes straight through him. Midoriya kicks him in the back, and then sees Todoroki shooting his fire, so he does a fire drag. He shoots a fire dragon at Gang Orca as well. Inasa follows it up with his wind, and they create a massive vortex. "This is a good idea, future heroes, but you always have to have a backup." He pours water on himself and cancels out the vortex and charges at Shoto. Shoto is then covered in a red aura, and Gang Orca can't touch him, and a massive hand is holding him down. "I did have a backup plan, Gang Orca." The speakers turn on and says that the exam is over and to head outside to wait. Everyone waits, and Midoriya passes as well as Izumi, and the only people not to pass is actually Bakugo, Shoto, and Inasa. They all head home, and the next day when they arrive at school, they are greeted by Aizawa, but also the big three. One of them by the name of Tamaki tries to speak, but gets scared and turns around. The girl of the group by the name of Nejire talks, but gets distracted, and Aizawa tells them that this is super unethical. Mirio then steps in and says that he will have everyone fight him. Aizawa looks at his class annoyed and tells them to go to the gym. He then stops Midoriya. "Midoriya, you can't fight him. I know you want to, but he's trying to make a point, and you could defeat him pretty easily with your Sharingan." "Whoa, you actually called it by its name. Impressive, sensei." "Okay, I understand." Aizawa tells him to not joke around or he will expel him. They then leave to the gym, and Mirio begins fighting the class. He beats the majority of the class with ease. Bakugo gave him some issues, but now Izumi was the real final test. "Aizawa, why did you let her fight him?" "What do you mean, Midoriya?" "Well, she can beat him. She has the best quirk for 1v1 battles." Aizawa then watches more intently at Izumi and at Izumi he begins to keep up with Mirio. "Okay, that's enough, Mirio." Midoriya smiles and gives Izumi a thumbs up, and thinks that Aizawa stopped the fight because he didn't want the reason for this to be ruined, because Izumi caught Mirio in some sort of, possession or some ghost trick that she has with her quirk. They all head back to the class, and Mirio explains that he has gotten this strong from his work study, and that as first years they can highly benefit from doing one. Aizawa tells the class that they will have 3 days to try and find a work study, and the class is dismissed. Izumi and Midoriya head out of the class, but Mirio stops them. Sorry, young lady, but I really need to talk with Midoriya over here. Oh, it's okay, Mirio. Mirio tells Midoriya that on the request of Night Eye, he wants Midoriya to go to his work study. Izumi looks at Midoriya in shock, saying that he loves Sir Night Eye. Midoriya asks why him, and Mirio tells him that because he helped All Might so much in that fight, he wants to personally oversee you. Midoriya agrees to go visit Night Eye, but he tells Mirio that Izumi also helped in beating All for One. Mirio looks at him in shock and takes them both to the agency. Night Eye allows them to enter. Azuku Midoriya, I'm glad you can make it. Oh, who is this? Midoriya explains that Mirio wanted him to come here because of what he did for All Might, but she also helped in the defeat of All for One. She explains that in the final attack, she possessed All for One from about 5-ish blocks away, allowing them to actually hit him cleanly. Wow, impressive, you two. What are you, some sort of dating hero tandem? He kind of laughs as if he was making a joke, but then looks at their faces and they're all red. Oh, you two are literally that. Well, I would love to have both of you on board. He explains that they will split up into groups for patrol. Mirio and you two, and me and my other sidekick, Bubble Girl. Make sure to look out for this man, and he looks like this. He explains that this man is called Overhaul, and he is extremely dangerous, and the leader of the Shia Hazaikai. They basically tell him that they understand, and they take their first patrol with Mirio the next day. They then begin talking while on patrol. So Midoriya, why didn't Aizawa let you fight me? Are you that strong? Sort of, but it's mostly because of my eyes. Midoriya flashes his Sharingan, saying that the fight would be over once you looked at them. Mirio says how impressive that is and tells Izumi that she is super strong and that the rest of her class went down really easy, but she could actually keep up. Well, Izu helped me train my quirk a ton the day I got it. Mirio then asks if the rumors are true that she got her quirk because she died and it basically revived her. And she tells him that, yeah, it's true, but it is still kind of weird. How so? Well, it's kind of knowing you're alive, but it feels as if you're weightless or operating in a constant, fog. It's honestly hard to explain. As she says this, a little girl comes running out of an alley and runs into Izumi. Aww, are you okay, little one? Izumi hugs her, but she can feel that she is shaking, and from the shadows, Overhaul reveals himself. Midoriya looks at him and looks back toward Izumi, and her face dropped and looks as if she was ready to move. Mirio looks at them both and realizes what they are going to do. Damn it, sorry, Sir Night Eye. Mirio punches Overhaul, and they both tell Izumi to get Eri out of here. She flies away with Eri and heads back to the agency. What did you do to her, Overhaul? Oh, I know you. The kid from the TV who helped All Might. You didn't really help him, did you, kid? Midoriya activates his Sharingan and looks directly into Overhaul's eyes. Tears begin to swell in Midoriya's eyes, seeing all the things he's done to Eri. Midoriya then puts Overhaul in a trance called a Tsukiyomi. Overhaul opens his eyes, and he's in a weird-looking area, tied to a stake. Now, Overhaul, you will pay for all the things you have done. Midoriya begins stabbing him for 24 hours straight. But when it was over, only 1 second has passed. Overhaul collapses to the ground and is knocked out. Midoriya, what did you do? Don't worry, he's alive. I put him in a trance. They take Overhaul away to the police and lock him up. The next day, they invade the hideout and easily arrest all the villains within it and send them all to jail. Back at the dorms. Izu, so how did you beat him? You told me you would tell me. Okay, but promise me not to get mad, okay? She agrees and he begins to explain. Ow, what the heck? You tortured him? Well, not really, like, in his mind, yeah, I guess. It's the same thing, Izu. You could have just knocked him out. I know, I won't torture anyone anymore, okay? I will just knock them out, I promise. Okay, good, because if not, I may have to take that hero spot, #1 hero spot from you. How about we both be #1 together? And that is the end of this What If. And I want to say this right off the rip. If y'all blow this up and y'all love it and y'all want to see a manga edition, I'll go into the manga. Trust me, I've had tons of fun. This is actually my longest What If I've ever made. I had tons of fun making this What If. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope y'all enjoyed the What If. And I know it was probably a little bit different than what y'all were expecting, but I liked sort of like the way that I went down the road with this. I didn't want to go too or lean too far into the idea that he is Itachi. I know it is like, what if Deku was Itachi Uchiha, but I lean more toward the fact that, like, you know, his soul is within him, so he is like Itachi Uchiha, but he leans more to that good side. I know there's these other versions of Itachi, like you have the spy Itachi, you have this you have the Katsuki Itachi that are more like on the evil-ish side of things. But at the end of the day, Itachi's a good person, and I feel like this was a good way. It was like, in a way, a reincarnation, you know? So, yeah, I mean, but I hope, at the end of the day, I hope all y'all enjoyed this What If. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And make sure to comment down below any suggestions for any future What Ifs. And I will see all y'all later. Have an amazing day.